Hello and welcome back. In the last few sections, you've been busy building up the catalog component, and now we have gone ahead and built the catalog component in the UI and the front end, and essentially tied up all the APIs that we were exposing from the backend, and managed to create a catalog which essentially displays the categories of products and the products themselves, which are the dishes here. On top of that, we also have a feature where we can filter by category now. A category of different cuisine types. Okay, so all that is working fine. The next step here now is to actually shift our focus now to the CI/CD aspect of it, the continuous integration and continuous deployment. So that's going to essentially help us a long way as we move forward. All right, I'm going to head over to my API repository. So right here, if I do a git status, I get to see all these changes which are essentially ready to be checked in. Okay, and unlike the last time, what I'm going to do this time here is essentially create a script which will automate the process of checking in, creating the branch, and then of course pushing it to the remote repository. Okay, so I'm going to head over to my code editor now for API, and in here I'm going to go and create a new folder, and I'm going to say inside of source, and I'm going to say create a new folder. Okay, I'm going to call it scripts. Okay, super. And or maybe I'll just call it deployment scripts. I think that would be better. Okay, no problem. So it's not deploy, it's actually a check-in script. Okay, the deployment will be again to Heroku, so that's going to be a different story altogether. So I'm just going to say a file here, or push to get. That could be something that you can do. Push bat, because this is a Windows system. I'm going to be using the bat extension, and for Mac and other operating system, it's going to be a shell script. Will not differ by a great deal, but I will discuss that as well. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do here. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to instruct Git to add everything that is there on that's essentially not checked in. Okay, and that's something that's tracked. All right. And then I'm going to expect an argument here in terms of the message for the commit. So I'm going to say git commit -m and -n and %1, and the %1 will be the actual message for the commit. And then I'm also going to say git branch. In fact, I'll just go ahead and create a branch first. Okay. I'll say git branch -M, and this is going to be $2. I'm sorry, %2. So essentially this is going to be the branch name. I'm going to say git add dot, and I'm going to say git commit with the message of -M and $1, and finally git push origin, and it's going to be %2. Okay. So this should automate the whole process of pushing the changes to Git. Okay, let me correct the spelling here, and this is going to be pushed to Git. Super. So back over in my editor, I'll head over here, and essentially what I'm going to do here is do a git status again, and this scripts folder is still not tracked, and I will leave it at that. I'm going to essentially do the check-in a little later. First thing is I want to make sure this whole thing works right now. Okay, so inside of here I'm going to say push to git. Okay, I need to go to src and scripts, yeah, there we go, and I should be able to find the batch file here, the batch file essentially, right? So let me clear screen and make it much easier to view, and in here I'm going to say push to git, and I want to create. So we said that the first argument will be the commit message itself, right? So if you go here, the first message is going to be, the first argument will be the commit message, second will be the branch name. Okay, so I'm going to say this is going to be our catalog changes here, and The second argument will be the branch name itself. So I'm going to call this 2.0, and this is going to be API changes and related to catalog. So this should essentially make a branch with this name, and then add the changes to that branch and then push those changes. Okay. Alright, so let's see if this film goes through fine here. Enter. Super. Looks like our changes have made their way into the repository. Let me go over to the repository here, and I should be able to see them hopefully. Inside of here, let me head here. Yes, I do see that change here. Super, right? That was pretty quick and time saving. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and compare and do a pull request, and essentially create a pull request here. And the heading says it all. I don't have to give any comment here. Good to go. Alright. And let me go ahead and create a pull request here. And at this point in time, it'll check whether or not the pull request has any merge conflicts. And if it's not there, it has no conflicts, we can go ahead and do the merge pull request. Okay. And over here at the Heroku console, we have the option to actually enable automatic deploys. And maybe what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and enable this here. So as soon as we check in there, a build will start here and the deployment should be also started. So let's see how it goes. I'll head over back to the Git tab, the GitHub tab. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and merge the pull request. I'm hoping there are no surprises here. Apparently there weren't any surprises, so we went ahead and did the merge. Let's head over back to Heroku, and in here I should be able to see the deployment happening. Let's go over to the deployment tab. So essentially this is enabled, and I should be able to see the activity inside here. I should be able to see, yeah, there is a build in progress here. You can see that here, right? Super. I think that's deployed. And essentially it should be seen here as well. Open, if I do an open app, it should be able to give me a hello message. Super. So our app is deployed again here in Heroku, and this time the change was mostly around the dish search on the basis of the category. What we can do now is we will go over to the front end and essentially try to invoke these APIs through the front end. And I'm going to go inside of my FE in the Cafe project, and I'm going to go over to my env file here, .env file, right here. Let me close the rest of the files because it becomes a little crowded there. Okay. And instead of localhost 7787, I'm going to go ahead and give the endpoint name as the Heroku endpoint. Okay, so let me go ahead and give this one here. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and give this particular string. All right. I hope I don't have. Did I give a trailing slash there? Yeah, I did. So I will not give here as well. Okay. And since these changes are not picked up automatically here, I will have to restart this stuff here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kill this process and come back up again. So npm start. This is going to take a minute or so. I'm going to pause here. Alright, we are back up. So we should be using our newly deployed APIs on Heroku, but we have to test that. So what I'm going to do here is essentially open the inspection tabs, especially for the network, and to check if actually the new APIs are being used, right? Or the new endpoints that are deployed in the cloud are being used. So let me head over to browse, and hopefully, alright, so we see an error here. So we actually see a CARS error here, and if we look here, it says, this is a problem right now because we are essentially operating from a different domain now, so we have to do the appropriate changes related to the CARS. And let's see what we need to do there. The first thing here is that the dishes obviously is hitting our endpoint on Heroku, which is good to see, right? And the next thing is obviously that we're hitting the CARS error here, right? It says specifically that it's a CARS issue. which is a cross-origin request error. So what's happening right now is we have two domains here. One is my localhost domain, other one is the Heroku domain, and the communication is happening across two different domains. And we have to make sure that domain where we have deployed the APIs, which is the Heroku domain, creates that, has a trust on any other domain which is essentially trying to contact it. So for that, we need to essentially have some configurations for the cars. If you recall, we actually made a couple of changes here with respect to cars. Let's head over to the index.js and we install the cars, and we said we're going to use cars here. Apart from that, what we're going to do now here is that we're going to define middleware that essentially sets a few headers that are essential for cars communication, right? The cross-origin resource sharing request communication. And that would be something like this. I'm going to say app.use. And this is going to get a callback, and this is going to be a request. This is going to get a request response and a next function. And inside of this, what I'm going to do here is, after any time you're going to respond back to the client, right, I want the middleware to essentially add a few headers, and that's going to be res.setHeader. And the first header is going to be called access control allow origin. Access control allow origin, that's going to be set to everyone, essentially star. We can probably harden it as we go along, but for now we'll just set it to star. And we also need to set a few things in terms of the allowed methods. So I'm going to say res.setHeader again, and I'm going to say this is going to be access control allow methods, all right? Yeah, the second one, and I'm going to give essentially get post and put, and yeah, let's go ahead and give delete as well. And I think options as well. I think options is by default, so but we'll go ahead and mention that anyway. You can also say allow headers. Clients can send a few headers that it deems fit. To be on the safer side, I'll go ahead and set that, because I don't think we are setting any additional headers here in terms of custom headers, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in just to be safe. I mean, for this to work initially, and then later on we can do a little bit of tweaking and fine tune it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to star as well. This should do it. So all I'm doing is, for every request that comes from a different domain, I'm going to go ahead and set this particular header for each request that comes along to me. And then as part of the response, essentially I'm going to set this, and this will allow the browser to allow the user to view the content. Otherwise the browser will say, okay, you're not allowed to see this because this is a cross-origin request. Super. So with this in place, we have to again go back and then check this code in and essentially merge the stuff. So it's good that we have the script in place here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly say get status, and not staged yet. Why do we? Okay, this is API Indie Cafe. I thought we already did this. Just hold on. So let's see what actually happened here. I'm not sure these things actually got deployed the last time around. If I go back to my API Indie Cafe here and to the root folder, I see the source here, and this is the master branch, and we did the merge for this. And interestingly, I see the scripts folder here, apparently, which is really interesting. And this script file, because we never intended to add this one in the first place. And if I go over the src folder to the controllers, not to the controllers, let's go to the routes, because we want to know if it actually contains the routes in the dish for the search. Apparently it's not there. Okay, and if I go back in here to my source code, which is the API Indie Cafe, and where's the routes? I have this route here, which needs to be there. So the check-in or the push didn't happen because it didn't get added. And there is a reason for that, because the push.get here is in a internal folder here. So when we say get add dot, it'll only add the push.get here. Push to get dot add only file only. So that is the problem. And what we're going to have to do here is essentially going forwards, we have to keep this at the root level and make sure that it is actually essentially under source, so to speak, or essentially add those files that are under root. So we had to do something with those lines. But for now, what we're going to do here, our branch is already created, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to essentially go ahead and manually submit these commands now. We'll take a look at the script sometime soon, but for the immediate purposes, I'm going to say git add dot. Alright, and I'll also say the current branch anyways, API catalog, so we may have to change this now, right? So I'll say git branch -m, and it's going to be, let's say 2.1 -API catalog. Okay, this should be good enough, I think. Yeah. Alright, and then I'm going to say git commit and give a commit message, and that's going to be saying catalog search API, not the search API, it's actually category search, and then deploy fix, right? And course fix, yeah, course fix issue, yeah. Let's go ahead and say enter. That's essentially added 5 files here, and then I'm going to go ahead and push this. So I'm going to say git push origin and 2.1 -API catalog. Alright, so fingers crossed, let's hope this goes through fine there. Yep, it's made its way up. Let's go back to our GitHub repository. We should be able to see that change right here. There we go. Super. So let's go in here and compare the pull request. We'll also check if all the files made their way. Yeah, we do see the files here. Okay, super. And the important one obviously is the index.js, right? So what is it saying? If we delete this new line, okay, we'll buy the index.js. I think the important part was this one here. And the other thing was, we should have actually tested it once before pushing this. Something that we missed. So let's go ahead and then give it a shot here from our FE, from the API, right? First thing I'm going to do here is, it's already redeployed. Go over to the category rest, and if I go, let's say, not the invalid route, get all categories, let's say that. Hopefully the changes would be there, would be seen in terms of request headers. Alright, I'm pressing that. Not sure why it's not responding. Interesting. Okay, let me head over here. There is some problem, obviously. So, let's see. If, let's say, let me go ahead and then start again. npm run dev. Alright, okay, connected to Mongo. Let me go ahead and give this a go now. Get all categories. Hopefully we get something back. Looks like we're timing out here. There is a problem. Alright, turns out we actually forgot to call the next method here, so the execution is getting hung there. So we had to call the next, which means, it'll go ahead and call the next operation in line. Hopefully that should fix the issue here. I will head over to the REST client again here, and let's see if I can get something here. I'll just go ahead and execute this now, get all the dishes. Hopefully it should get us something back. Not here. Alright, so another thing that I wanted to do here was the category. Where is the category? Yeah, right here. So I'll go ahead and execute the category, get all categories, okay? So this should essentially, yeah, this should do it, okay? So now we have to do it all over again. This is where the scripting helps, guys, but unfortunately the script that we had in mind didn't work there, because we have to essentially do some manipulations with respect to the positioning of that in terms of the directory where it is in the hierarchy of the project structure, right? Okay, so let's head over to the command line again, And what I'm going to do here is say git status. Alright, we have this new file here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to again go through the same steps. I'm going to call this 2.2 because the earlier branch is already closed but not deleted. So I'm going to essentially use that. Before that, let me first create this 2.2. Okay, and say git add dot. Okay, and give it a commit message. Yeah, this is the one. Just say course fix. Alright, and then of course I will go ahead and push it. Git push origin. This is going to be 2.2. Right, hopefully this time around we should be able to get it going. Let's see. First thing is I want to make sure it's gone past this here. Yeah, it's gone here. Gone up to the GitHub repo. And inside of this, I should be able to see that. It is 2.1 still. It is 2.2. Okay, this is probably an old message. Yeah, there is a 2.2. This was 11 minutes ago. I think this is, these are not, auto dismissed essentially. They don't even give an option to dismiss here. Okay, so let's go ahead and compare and do a pull request one more time. I'm going to say go ahead and create a pull request, and I'm going to go ahead and approve that as well. It's safe to merge. Okay, no merge conflicts. Go ahead and confirm merge. Super. This should now trigger a build on Heroku. Let's go in here. And if I go into the activity tab, it would have essentially identified that there was a new change in master. Okay, and it says build is in progress. It's been a long video. I think we'll allow the deployment to happen. We'll come back in the next lecture and then take it forward. See you soon, and let's take a quick break here.